What happens when your childhood friend, the only friend you have, is the one who never wants your happiness and decides to ruin your happiest day? This is the unfortunate story of Sandra. It was the wedding of her best friend, but Adanna, who had been planning with her friend and was to be the chief bridesmaid, had other plans. Despite being Sandra's childhood friend, Adanna never truly wants her happiness and believes Sandra always takes what is supposed to be for her. Even Jonathan, she has been crushing on, ended up being Sandra's boyfriend, and they are about to get married. This can't happen again, not after defeating me and winning the best graduating student of the university. I have to put an end to this, Adanna muttered. Good morning, Capon. My name is Adanna. I got your number from an agent. There's software to be sold. I will trick her to your place in the next hour if we agree on price, Adanna said. I hope this is not a setup because your voice doesn't sound like someone who has been in this line of business, Capon queried. But Adanna assured him she wasn't playing any game with him. After the back and forth, they agreed on $10,000, which would be paid when the package was delivered. Hey, babe, it's your big day. Are you awake? Adanna asked Sandra on the phone. Of course, I've been awake since 5. I am trying to put something in order and get ready for my man. I am jealous. Getting married to a man like Jonathan is something to be really happy for. You know I am still single since men like Jonathan refused to come for me. Stop it, Adanna. You deserve the best man. Just believe in time and season. Remember, I wasn't in any relationship for 5 years before I finally met Jonathan. I even thought something was wrong with me, but here I am today. On your day, I will also serve as your chief bridesmaid, event manager, and everything else, and ensure you are happy because you've done so much for me that I never asked for. They both laughed, and Adanna promised to do more to make her friend's wedding a memorable one for her. But babe, I am worried. The tailor is yet to deliver the Ankara wedding gown. That's what I want to use. I am an African, and I want to look like one at my wedding. You know you introduced her to me, Sandra said. That's why I even called. I am coming to your place. I have ordered an Uber. He will take us to the shop. I've spoken with the tailor. She has apologized for the delay, but we need to go together for you to test and make any necessary adjustments. We don't have time, Adanna said. Thank you, babe. I am waiting for you. As Adanna ended the call, he called Capon, and within a few minutes, he was in front of her house as a taxi driver. Together, they went to Sandra's house, who was already waiting for them. As she saw Adanna in the car, she joined them. They went to the tailor's shop, collected the gown, and wore it. Adanna convinced her not to remove it because time has gone by since it's for the traditional wedding, while she used the other dress for the dinner party in the evening. They left, and instead of going to her house, the driver took a different turn, wound up his car window, and increased his speed. At first, it was like a play, but when he took a path road and continued going despite her protest, she had to confront Adanna about what was happening. It was then that Adanna flared up and revealed the most shocking thing Sandra ever expected. Sandra, do you think I am a fool? I was supposed to win the Best Student Award and be celebrated for once, but no, you defeated me, and instead you were celebrated again. You still went ahead to accept my crush, Jonathan, whom I have been crushing on, and you think I will fold my arms and allow you to continue stealing my happiness. Sandra, this has to stop today. And I am sorry you wouldn't live to tell the story. Adanna, what are you saying? You are my best friend. I trusted you. You never told me you were crushing on Jonathan. Even when I told you, he asked me. You encouraged me to follow my mind, and I did. I didn't defeat you to win the Best Students Award. My CGPA gave me that. It wasn't an organized competition. And how would I have known you were vying for it when I don't know your CGPA and you never discussed it with me? As Sandra turned to face Adanna and asked if she could really do this to her, she was covered with a fabric blindfold, preventing her from knowing the route they had taken. After 5 minutes, Sandra found herself inside a well-furnished apartment in the middle of nowhere. And the most surprising thing? She heard Adanna concluding her negotiation, sold her to the Capon, collected the $10,000, and left. But before she left, Sandra assured her she wouldn't enjoy the money and would pay for her crime. As usual, Capon went inside to freshen up, before taking advantage of his victim and then delivering her to his clients, who will then do whatever pleases him. Throughout the drive, Capon didn't have the time to even look at the face of his new victim. The attention was just on how to arrive at the location, finish the deal, and look for another business deal. Meanwhile, at Sandra's house, the tension has gone higher. The guests have started to arrive, the groom was already around, but the bride, Sandra, had disappeared. "Woman, where is your daughter? Where did she go? What sort of embarrassment is this? And her number is switched off." Sandra's father, Mr. Andrew, shouted at Sandra's mother, Amara. "She only told me early in the morning that she was going to collect her dress for the traditional engagement morning. It's already been 4 hours since she left. Yes, she told me she was going with her friend, Adanna, but her number is also switched off too. I don't know what is happening, and I don't have the tailor's address," Sandra's mother added. It was a total confusion, and it's becoming obvious there was something wrong. The groom's unease is becoming noticeable. He has tried Sandra's number multiple times, but it's switched off. He doesn't know how to tell his parents and the rest of the dignitaries that his wife is missing. He doesn't have the courage, and the embarrassment would be too much. He silently prayed to God not to disgrace him and his family, and to bring back Sandra safely for him and her family, who had suffered to train her for school and prepared for this big day. At where Sandra is held, Capon freshened up and came to the living room, ready to take action. But as he removed the blindfold from Sandra's face, he met the greatest shock of his life. "What? Sandra, what are you doing here?" Sandra looked up, and the face she saw shocked her the most. "Adanna, is this you? Were you the Capon Adanna was talking to in the car, the one that brought me here?" "Calm down. I am the one. And it's a long story." "Then tell me what went wrong. What happened to you?" Sandra asked, her voice shaking. "After we graduated, I was framed by a man I worked for. I was arrested, tortured, and spent 1 year in prison and lost my mother in the process. I had to fight back, and since I don't have the means to fight him, I joined this business, and I had taken the man's 2 children already, but I saw myself taking innocent people, which wasn't part of the original plan of joining the business, but the money that comes with it is enticing, and I couldn't resist its urge. But Sandra, you are a good woman. You were kind to me back then at the university. You even paid my last tuition fee and gave me food on a few occasions. I can't do this to you and wouldn't have agreed if I knew you were the one. But I realize now it's not about the people I know. I have to stop the business, especially because of you." Sandra nodded, but still couldn't believe. Adanna, one of the brightest students in her class, would turn out to be what she is seeing, and involved in such a devilish business. "How then do you handle the issue with Adanna, the 10 million naira you already gave her as a price for me?" Sandra asked. "That's not an issue. That's where you will come in. I am helping you. You need to help me too, and play this card with me. I will take you to your house for your program to continue. But tell your parents that your best friend, Adanna, kidnapped and sold you out. But a long-time friend played along as a buyer to see if she would really do it. But after she completed the deal, he decided to let you go for her to be arrested and prosecuted." Sandra agreed to the plan, and Capon drove her to her house. Her appearance stirred a lot of reactions, but she quickly went inside, calmed herself down, and explained to her parents and would-be husband, Jonathan, what transpired and how her course mate at the university played along to save her. They were stunned, but they can't doubt their daughter. They've known Adanna since childhood, and her friendship with Sandra has been more than 20 years, and they became more like sisters. Adanna was the only friend Sandra had. Why would she do that? Her mother questioned. While they quickly continued with the marriage rites, Sandra's father, Mr. Andrew, wasn't taking it lightly. He called Capon to further ascertain Sandra's claim, and when he confirmed it was the truth, he immediately called the divisional police officer in charge of the area. "Hello, DPO. We have a serious case to handle. My daughter, Sandra, was kidnapped this morning on her wedding day and sold to a man. Her best friend, Adanna, who was supposed to be her chief bridesmaid, was the one who did this. But we thank God it was Sandra's course who played along as the buyer and even paid Adanna 10 million naira. It was the man that brought Sandra back home. The wedding has started, but I want you to mobilize your men urgently and get her arrested before she leaves the country. Mr. Andrew explained, "Don't worry, sir. Just send her address and her phone number. We will pick her up as soon as that's done," the DPO assured him. Within a few minutes, he received Adanna's address and her phone number. She was tracked, and he quickly mobilized his men and stormed her apartment. Adanna, who had already booked an emergency flight to leave the country, was arrested when she was coming outside her house with her traveling bags and taken into custody. It was when Capon visited her at the station that she knew the game was up, but to her surprise, Capon denied any involvement, and with the support of Sandra's father, Capon was free despite Adanna's claim of how she contacted him and agreed to buy Sandra for 1 million naira. Capon, in his claim, said he only played along to see if Adanna really had the mind to do such a thing to her friend, but had to tell Sandra he only played along to see who Adanna really was. Sandra was joyfully joined together with her husband, Jonathan, and went on to organize a wedding dinner with influential politicians and business moguls in attendance. The following day, Adanna was arraigned in court with the right to have a lawyer, and with Sandra's testimony, the judge found her guilty of attempted murder, human trafficking, and other crimes, and sentenced her to 20 years imprisonment. As Capon's eyes met with Adanna's when she was taken away, he felt a pang of guilt, but he couldn't help her, and believed Sandra's case was a means of redemption for him. Capon changed his name back to Adanna and concentrated on worshipping God, seeking forgiveness for the crimes he had committed against innocent people, and calling people to the gospel. Life at the prison wasn't what Adanna anticipated. After refunding the 10 million naira to Adanna at the court, she was left with nothing. Sitting quietly at her bunk inside the small room in the old prison cell in Lagos, it was like a dream to her how she ended up as a prisoner. Adanna now realized how wrong she was to have conceived the idea of selling off her best friend for 10 million naira on her wedding day, a friend that believed so much in her and had trusted her with almost everything. "I was wrong," she said to herself. "How did I become so bitter, trying to destroy my best friend on her biggest day because of envy? I have wronged myself and Sandra, and here I am, inside this cell, with no good food and cut off from the outside world." But how did Capon, who suddenly became Adanna, turn things around and get me arrested? Why did Sandra exonerate him in the court? But I know he wouldn't go unpunished. He is involved in this mess and needs to pay for his crime too, he said to himself. A few months after, Sandra and her husband, Jonathan, decided to attend the newly established church in their new area. As they sat inside the church waiting for the pastor, Sandra was shocked to see Adanna as the pastor of the new church. Adanna, too, couldn't resist the shock when he saw Sandra and her husband. "Let's welcome our new guests to the church, and I have the honor to introduce Madam Sandra and her dear husband, Mr. Jonathan, to our church. Some months ago, I was trailing the path of destruction, and it was this woman God used to save my soul and bring me back to the path of righteousness." Like myself, many of you may be trapped in a web of evil and wrongdoing today. If someone has wronged you, exploiting their power or wealth, consider committing the matter to God or seeking justice through legal channels. Although some of you may argue that our justice system favors the wealthy, I urge you to entrust your case to God, trusting that those who have wronged you will someday meet people who are more than them, and they will face consequences of their evil. I've witnessed how seeking revenge can lead individuals to a dark path, becoming evil themselves. Let's learn to forgive and resist the temptation to become evil in response to harm that we suffer from evil people. In the future, I hope to share my personal experiences publicly, without fear of judgment, and reveal how God transformed my life through our sister, Madam Sandra. If you're currently entangled in evil, I invite you to reach out to me. Having walked that path, I understand its dangers and I am offering my support to help you start a new life. God's plan for us is not condemnation, but redemption." He said, praising God, and continued with the worship. And just as Sandra and her husband smiled, praising God for the amazing thing he had done in the life of Adanna, they saw a group of heavily armed policemen coming into the church. "Nobody move! Remain where you are," Sergeant Okoro announced as they stormed the church. What do you think will happen next? Subscribe to our channel to watch part 2 when we upload it.